Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. Reminder of our major stories now. Petrol tanker drivers call off nationwide strike embarked on over issues of their welfare. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission seek arrest warrants for former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoke. President Muhammadu Buhari holds separate closed-door meetings with Senate President and House of Representatives Speaker over executive legislature impasse. And deadly explosion on a train between two stations kills 9 in Russian city of St. Petersburg. For more stories on our top stories and others, please visit our website at channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device. Just log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature though, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. And now to our Eyewitness photos which you sent in. First is this picture from Cross Rivers, where our Eyewitness reporter wonders how the dream of Tinapa becoming a tourist destination died. Our reporter wants the tourism authorities to be proactive and revive the sector to boost the economy. Our second is from Lagos State, where our Eyewitness reporter alleges that this road project was awarded but later abandoned by the contractor. The Eyewitness reporter wants the case investigated and the job completed. Finally is this of a bizarre scene where a car traveling on the Makurdi-Lafia Expressway is seen conveying a man and a cow on it. The Eyewitness reporter is shocked that no road safety authorities stopped this act. Well, that's all we have from you tonight. I want to thank you so much indeed for keeping them coming. And moving on to other stories now. Parents and guardians have been asked to monitor the activities of their children and wards in order to prevent them from joining or being recruited by the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS. A statement from the Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed, says that the terrorist organization has resorted to targeting vulnerable individuals, including foreign students, using financial inducements to recruit them. Well, the statement cites the recent recruitment of 27 students of the University of Medical Sciences and Technology in Sudan as an example of the new strategy being used by ISIS in recruiting more members. The minister quotes a report received by the Nigerian intelligence community that out of 27 students who traveled to Syria to join ISIS, 22 are Britons. According to Mr. Mohammed, quote, many of the students are children of reputable doctors in the UK. Their social media accounts also revealed them as praising jihadists and championing ISIS, unquote. The minister also appealed to schools across the country to enlighten their students on the new ISIS recruitment strategy. Help has come for over 12,000 pupils from 31 schools in Adamawa State as they are being set to benefit from the federal government's Victim Support Fund for the Northeast. Flagging off the second phase of the distribution of educational materials to beneficiaries in Garkida town of Gombe local government area, the executive director of the fund, Professor Sunday Ochochi, says that the aim is to create an enabling environment for accredited accelerated development in the region.
Boko Haram attacks on schools, students and teachers in the northeast has left a devastating impact on education during the conflicts that sent nearly 1 million children away from school. With the liberation of more towns and the return of peace to communities, both the federal and state governments are increasing steps to revive not just education but development in the region. The Victim Support Fund is in 3 local government areas of Adamawa State affected by insurgency to attend to their educational needs. Pupils of Gakinda Primary School are optimistic as they file out in their numbers to receive their package. For the federal government representatives, the intervention program is part of plans to revive education in the war-torn region.
We want to encourage every child back to school, encourage every teacher back to school, and to help change the situation or the narrative that gave rise to Boko Haram in the first place. And we are convinced that there is no way we can change the narrative without addressing the issues of education and saying how we can enhance education.
An intervention both the state government and residents appreciate and are willing to support.
A lot of approvals have been done at the Executive Council meeting following our declaration of emergency to ensure that children are mopped up out of the streets, because we know that that was part of what led us to where we are today. Therefore, I want to assure you that whatever efforts we bring in, our hands will also be on deck to ensure that we all make maximum benefits of what we are doing.
We have been donating materials to victims and so many activities that your organization has been doing. Let me tell you today that this is your record, and you are going to be vindicated.
Already, 7,000 pupils from Hong, Mubi North and Mubi South local government areas of the state have benefited in 2016, and the federal government says there is no going back on the decision to secure the future of these children through education.
Is now, shall we, as we take you to our Abuja studios where Ibrahim Adra is standing by to take us through. Ibrahim.
Hello, Kimba. Well, here in the nation's capital, Justice Gabriel Kolawole of the Federal High Court, Abuja, will on May 16 rule on a no-case submission by Charles Oka and Obi Nwabweze, who are standing for the Independence Day bombing at the Eagle Square, Abuja in 2010. At the resumed hearing, counsel to the first defendant, Emeka Okafor, said the first defendant has filed a no-case submission because the prosecution has been unable, through evidence before the court, to establish prima facie against him. He urged the court to dismiss all the charges against Oka. According to Mr. Okafor, the sole issue for determination before the court is to determine the credibility of evidence leading to element of proof that his client paid the second defendant 2 million naira to carry out the act. Responding, prosecution counsel Alex Izion, SAN, asked the court to dismiss the no-case submission by the defendants, saying the prosecution has been able to establish a case against them. As such, it should compel both defendants to face their trial. And the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned a permanent secretary in the Federal Ministry of Labour and Productivity, Dr. Ilo Onubogu Clement. He was arraigned on a 3-count charge of non-assets declaration before Justice Babs Keumi of the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos. And the first count, the defendant on the 19th of April 2016 in Lagos, allegedly failed to make full disclosure of assets to the tune of 97.3 million naira, an offence contrary to and punishable under Section 27, subsection 3C of the EFCC Establishment Act of 2004. In the second count, he allegedly failed to make a disclosure of the sum of $139,575, that is, and in the third count, he failed to disclose assets of £10,121. He pleaded not guilty to all the charges, and the court granted him bail in the sum of 50 million naira with one surety and like sum. Trial was then fixed for the 8th of May. And still talking justice, the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has lifted the order freezing the GT bank account of a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Michael Zekome, into which the Ekiti State government, or rather Governor Ayodele Fayose, paid legal fees of 75 million naira. Justice Abdulaziz Anka, in his ruling, held that though it was not in doubt that the 75 million naira came from Governor Fayose, Mr. Zekome could not be held liable because there was no restriction on Fayose's account at the time the money was paid to his law firm. Our judiciary correspondent Shola Shoele has that report.
In his ruling on the application to unfreeze the accounts, Justice Abdulaziz Anka agreed with Mr. Ozekome that the freezing order obtained by the EFCC in respect of Governor Fayose's accounts had been lifted by Justice Taiwo of the Federal High Court in Ado Ekiti. Justice Anka said he would not allow himself to be lured into sitting as an appellate judge over the decisions of Justice Mohammed Idris, who earlier froze Governor Fayoshe's accounts, and Justice Taiwo, who later unfroze it. Mr. Ozekome was very happy with the judgment, and he went spiritual.
Only him deserves glory. Take it.
He also used the opportunity to ask the president to disband the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, led by Professor Ishe Sagi.
Today, I defeated the EFCC for the 7th time in 12 months. Do you know why? They have a Presidential Anti-Corruption Advisory Committee that gives everything but the right advice. It is that panel that tests public officers not to obey an institution like the Senate, not to report to them. It is that panel that quote the law upside down and enthrone illogicality and injustice. That panel, if Buhari wants to succeed, he should disband that panel, that committee immediately.
I don't know where that is coming from. There's no such wrong advice from anybody to the commission. You see, when you look at the law, law is subject to different interpretation. But the Money Laundering Prohibition Act, says that Section 15 particularly, that where you use or you are in possession of proceed of offense, it does not say if you are a lawyer, you should be exempted from it. It's not saying if you are a medical doctor, you should use proceed of alleged offense. That is the issue before the court. And we've had his lordship's decision today. We are going to take it up from there because we have our serious reservation to that findings.
Meanwhile, Professor Sage says he's not surprised by Mr. Ozekome's call for the president to disband the committee. He says such calls are an indication that corruption is fighting back. Shola Sheyeli, Channels Television News.
Well, that's all from here. News at 10 continues in Lagos, where Gimba is standing by. Gimba.
Ibrahim Azra, brilliant. When the News at 10 returns, Central Bank of Nigeria kickstarts April with an additional $240 million for the forex market. And that's some business news. Join us again.